Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Kate Boyd. I'm a professor of piano at Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana, and this is my teaching studio. I'm spending the month of December practicing the Beethoven sonatas for violin and piano in preparation for January, where we will be playing all 10 of the sonatas over the course of 3 concerts. Today I'm going to be practicing the first movement of the 8th sonata, which is Opus 30, number 3. Yesterday I practiced the last movement of it, so now we're going to work our way back to the first movement. This piece has an energetic, sparkling character, and it poses several challenges that I have to practice. One of them is that the 16th notes in the piano need to be very, very clear because they're in unison also with the violin. So the violin is also playing at the same time. And if it's not clear, it'll just sound like kind of mush. It'll sound like, right? So the way I have to practice that is not only use my hand to group. You can see I'm using my hand to help facilitate the finger motion, but I'm also I'm conscious of dropping each finger from the knuckle. So here's how I am going to practice that. I'm going to practice it 2 ways. I'm going to practice it staccato. Notice that I'm using finger staccato. I'm not using arm staccato. I'm not doing staccato this way. It's just all. Everything is happening from this joint. I'm also not going fast. I'm not trying to go. I'm trying to just do this staccato practice so that I can have strong, sharp motions from the fingers. The other way I'm going to practice that is with high fingers. I'm going to play like this. In context, I am going to use the hand, but the fingers also need to be active. That's why I'm practicing it those ways. So you can try that too. When you have passage work, especially with adjacent notes, practice staccato and practice with high fingers, and then practice it legato using the hand. Here's a nice little solo that's very sweet. The violin has it. Now here is the first spot that's tricky. So we have 3 chords that are arpeggiated where we have to use rotation. This movement is kind of a study in rotation. There are a lot of places where really you have to just have very good rotation in order for this to work. On my video yesterday, somebody wrote a comment with a question, and it said, I wonder what you mean by have active and light fingers where you're not pressing into the keys. I said that yesterday when I was practicing the 3rd movement of this. And I was saying to have active and light fingers where you're not pressing into the keys. Pressing into the keys is basically putting pressure downward. Where I'm really pushing straight down. Okay. Think about when you walk. When you walk, you know instinctively how much pressure to put your foot down on the ground. You're shifting your weight from the right foot to the left foot, from the right foot to the left foot. And you know as you place the foot down how much pressure to place the foot down with so that you don't either fall because your foot is not set, or that you don't wear yourself out because you're stomping, right? You don't walk around like this because it's exhausting. And it would be very difficult to run that way because it takes more time to do each motion. And it's the same thing with the piano, or similar. If I'm pushing pushing straight down on every note, I can't play fast because it's like I'm stomping. I'm putting more pressure downward than I need. Pressing into the keys means you're basically stomping. So to instead imagine that you're playing on the surface of the keys. And when I said active and light fingers, what I mean is specifically playing from this knuckle, the third knuckle, where you're really playing and it's active. I'm not just going with passive fingers, and I'm also not stomping like I said, and therefore the fingers are light. So they're just gently tapping as I play. So I hope that helped answer the question and clarify just a little bit. So I'll just keep going. So I have this little trill. I'm playing this. And again, I'm using a little bit of rotation. Whenever you have a trill, there's rotation involved. Even if it's not really visible because it's so small. So what is tricky about this is that I have this little figure, sometimes fortissimo and sometimes pianissimo. My fingers have to work hard both times. Now they're kind of driving into the bottom of the keys. Here they're on the surface of the key. Where we use basically this whole section of the movement, we're going to use tons and tons of rotation. Just watch. I'm not going to explain it. I'll put a card up there for rotation if you are not sure what I mean by the concept. I talked about it yesterday. I've pretty much talked about rotation in every video because it is one of the fundamental components and building blocks of piano technique as far as I'm concerned. So watch my hand. I'm going to play it in slow motion. Very fast. Right, so you see the fingers and the rotation are happening at the same time. My left hand moves into the new position while the right hand plays. I'm in measure 65 here, and then while the right hand plays, my left hand moves. So you can do that anytime you have rests and changing hand positions. You can practice moving your left hand or right hand into place sooner. Rotation city in the left hand. It's all rotation this whole time. Now, what can happen is sometimes your thumb can get tight, and then it gets hard to do the whole passage because your thumb is accumulating tension. So I can tell you one way to practice. If you've got, this is also a pretty common type of passage. So put your thumb down. I'm going to just do this in measure 93. And now I'm going to play. So I'm just practicing feeling feeling my center of gravity on the bottom of my hand, so that the rotation is very, very loose. Always listen. 99 out of 100 times, the top voice is going to be what you're going to want to voice, even if it's an accompaniment. The left hand is pianissimo, but it's in a growly register. So I have to play very articulate. So I'm actually kind of playing staccato fingers. That is like the beginning again. So we've talked about repeated staccato chords. We've talked a lot about rotation. Again, we talked about clarity, and hopefully I answered the question about having active and light fingers. The movement ends with a lot of energy and a lot of motion. That motion really never ends. So here's the end. That's the end. After this movement that I just practiced, we have a tempo de minuetto. It's relatively moderato. That, and it's a beautiful minuet. And then we go right into the third movement, which I showed you yesterday. In each of these videos, I promised that I would share a little bit of an update or behind the scenes on my day. And so last night, I went to see the Nutcracker, which was absolutely beautiful. And this afternoon, I went to a performance by the Indianapolis Baroque Orchestra. The second half was the first section of Messiah. It was a just beautiful performance, and I was particularly happy to be there because a former student of mine, who is an amazing pianist, really wonderful musician, is also a countertenor, and he had a beautiful solo, a couple of them throughout the afternoon. It was just a real treat. And in my practicing today, I was focusing on sonatas 1, 2, and 3, plus this movement that I wanted to show you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow. Happy practicing.